Genghis Khan and his family and what
cool.
they did. Dude, they killed 10% of the population of Earth while he was alive. They killed so many people that they affected the carbon footprint of human beings on Earth.
Genghis Khan wasn't just a warlord. He was an unstoppable force, a storm of terror that left a trail of fear and destruction wherever he went. His cruelty was legendary, from the brutal annihilation of entire cities to the unimaginable horrors he unleashed on those who dared to oppose him. But how much of this terrifying legend is true? Did anyone survive his wrath? And just how far did his terror reach? Join us on this special episode as we uncover the darkest, most chilling secrets of Genghis Khan and the horrific fate that awaited his enemies. The rise of a ruthless leader. In the early 13th century, the name Genghis Khan began to spread across Asia, bringing stories of great power and trembling. Born as Temujin, Genghis Khan came from a modest background and built one of the largest empires that history has ever seen. His rise to power was not just because of his military skill. It was also due to his harsh ways of fighting and controlling people, which had a deep impact on both his enemies and allies. Temujin's rise combined clever tactics and a lot of harsh methods. He united the Mongol tribes through some smart deals and very fierce fights, then began to call himself Genghis Khan, which means universal ruler.
These followers of Genghis Khan are praying for the blessings of the universe. They believe everything is a part of God.
This act alone showed that he had total control over a large empire. Under his leadership, the Mongol Empire expanded rapidly, taking over areas that were far beyond their original land. His main wife was Berte, whom he married at a young age. She was the daughter of a chieftain and helped him rise to power. Borte had 4 sons with Genghis Khan, with the names Jebe, Chagatai, Ogadei, and Tolui, who all played important roles in his empire. Besides Berta, he had several concubines, as was common for Mongol leaders. These concubines were often used to build political alliances and strengthen his rule. Although they didn't have the same status as Borte, they had more children with him who also helped expand the empire. One of the most shocking parts of Genghis Khan's rule was his way of dealing with his adversaries. Unlike many leaders of his time who engaged in traditional warfare, he often employed mental tactics designed to instill terror and make them submit. Some stories got out about how he would stage demonstrations, not just to win territory, but to make his power known through sheer terror. For example, early in his rule, he faced a big rebellion from the Khwarezmian Empire, which is now Iran and Central Asia.
Genghis Khan, Conquest and Culture.
What happened next was a harsh revenge campaign, described as one of the most brutal ever. The Khwarezmian cities were destroyed, leaving their people in devastation and great agony. Accounts in history have shown that when his army captured a city, they often killed the leaders and anyone who fought back. But his methods went beyond just punishing the rebels. He wanted to show that resisting was a pointless venture. Stories of cities being destroyed, not just beaten, made it clear that surrender was the only way to stay safe. One particularly frightening example is the city of Urgench. After the Mongols took over, the city faced a disaster. The people experienced extreme actions beyond normal military defeat. These included the mass killings of citizens, as well as other severe measures that left little hope for those who opposed Genghis Khan. Why did Genghis Khan use such harsh tactics? Historians think he did this to make sure no one would challenge his rule. By creating a situation where any rebellion was met with overwhelming and often brutal punishment, he made sure that the idea of opposing him would be completely suppressed, and no one would dare to challenge him. As much as Khan's harsh methods were very effective in strengthening his power, they also created a legacy of fear and darkness. His reputation for cruelty helped him maintain control as stories of his brutal actions spread and scared off potential rebels, keeping his empire stable. It is also worthy of note that his influence didn't stop with his own time. His tactics affected not only other leaders of his era, but also the future ones. The fear, cruelty, and darkness he spread, and his strategies for control set examples for how leaders would handle warfare and power for years to come. The Khan's methods of control and fear used. Genghis Khan's rule over his huge empire was not just marked by victories through his powerful military. It was also defined by his strategic use of fear to maintain control. His methods extended far beyond the battlefield, adding psychological ideas that were designed to prevent rebellion and ensure obedience throughout his realm. One of the important roles of his strategy was the deliberate use of terror. This wasn't just a mere byproduct of his military campaigns, but a carefully planned and well-executed tactic. When the Mongol army approached a city, the fear of the unknown consequences often led to the immediate surrender of their captives. The Mongols didn't simply march in and fight. They made sure their reputation preceded them. There have been so many stories that have been spread of their previous conquests, which were filled with descriptions of great chaos and severe punishments for those who resisted. This reputation for brutality acted as a powerful hindrance, making it less likely that cities would go against the Mongols. One notable example of this approach is the fate of the city of Nishapur. After Genghis Khan's armies captured Nishapur, they executed a large number of its residents. This brutal action wasn't just a random act of violence, but a calculated move that was intended to send shivers through the spines of other cities, serving as a clear message to them. The harsh treatment of Nishapur's population was widely publicized, serving as a warning to others about the potential consequences of defying Mongol rule. The news of Nishapur's unfortunate situation spread quickly, leading other cities to surrender without a fight to avoid a similarly bad outcome. His use of fear extended beyond individual battles and cities. It was a central part of his administrative approach to governing the empire. He implemented a system where severe punishments were meted out to anyone who challenged his authority. This approach was not just limited to immediate enemies. It was also targeted at the ones within the empire who might harbor any of such rebellious thoughts. By maintaining a consistent and visible threat of harsh consequences, he ensured that even the most faraway regions of his kingdom remained under control. People were less likely to rebel if they knew the potential punishment would be painfully severe and swift. The impact of the said warlord's strategy was very profound and enduring. His reputation for cruelty did not fade after his death. Instead, it became a significant part of the historical narrative about his rule. The stories of his brutal tactics continued to shape how people perceived the Mongol Empire long after he was gone. This lasting legacy of fear and intimidation helped maintain stability in the empire for years after his reign. As said earlier, his approach to using fear was a major influence on leadership strategies in history. His methods showed that mental tactics, combined with the threat of severe consequences, could be effective tools for maintaining control and deterring rebellion. Future leaders observed his strategies and understood that instilling fear could be as powerful, if not more so, than military might alone. Also, the psychological impact of his reign of terror stretched far and wide, and even beyond his passing. The fear he instilled became part of the collective memory and folklore of the regions he conquered. This lasting impression of Mongol ruthlessness influenced how future generations and neighboring states viewed the Mongol Empire. They were all scared and respected them. And this didn't come from any positive impact done, but from fear of being the next victim in the books. The reputation for fear and brutality served as an obstacle for any potential challengers, reinforcing the stability and dominance of the empire for years to come. The example set by Khan shows how much power is involved in using psychological tactics in leadership and control, demonstrating that fear, when wielded effectively, can be a formidable tool in maintaining authority. The attack on Beijing. Another of the most dramatic and sought-after examples of Genghis Khan's wicked rule was the assault carried out on Beijing. This event, which took place in the early 13th century, elaborates just how his strategies went far and beyond mere military conquest and also revealed his ability to use fear to overcome even the most heavily fortified cities. At the time, Beijing was formerly known as the city of Zhongdu and was a major city of the Jin dynasty. Genghis Khan targeted it as a key part of his plan to extend his already vast kingdom into China.
Now, the great Mongol conqueror Genghis Khan carved the biggest land empire in history.
The Mongol army, renowned for its speed, discipline, confidence, and ferocity, surrounded the city and began their attack with carefully sought-out planning and efficiency. To break the city's wall of defense, the Mongols used a range of brilliant strategies. Firstly, they built massive attack engines, such as big catapults and battle rams, which were crucial for breaking through the city walls. Additionally, the Mongols employed psychological warfare to weaken the defenders' morale. They spread stories of their previous conquests, where entire cities had been destroyed and their people executed. These stories were designed to instill fear in their hearts and to convince the people of Beijing that resistance was not going to save them. The Mongol approach to them was not only aggressive, but also strategic. They cut off the city's supply lines, which caused shortages of food and other needed resources. This tactic was aimed at starving the defenders, making the situation within the city increasingly bad, which would make them leave their comfort zones. Meanwhile, the Mongols used their advanced military technology to bombard the city walls continuously. The relentless assault and the lack of supplies pushed the defenders to the edge of their endurance. This made them very agitated, and in the long run, they conceded. As the siege continued happening, conditions within Beijing became very bad. The defenders' high spirits died down as they faced the harsh reality of starvation and constant fear. The city's residents, facing dwindling resources and the unyielding pressure from the Mongols, began to suffer a lot. The prolonged siege led to severe shortages of food, which in turn caused widespread suffering and panic among the inhabitants of the city. Eventually, after months of persistent attacks, the Mongols managed to breach the city walls. The Mongol forces marched into Beijing with as much authority as they had, and what followed was an exact reveal of his approach to dealing with those who resisted his rule. The city was subjected to widespread destruction. Many buildings were burned or brought down, and a large number of the city's inhabitants were either executed or captured. This brutal response was not just a display of their already existing power, but a calculated measure to reinforce the consequences of defying Mongol authority. The attack on Beijing was more than just a military victory for Khan. It served as a powerful demonstration of his methods. The sheer magnitude of the destruction and the severe punishment inflicted upon the city's defenders sent a clear message to other cities and regions. This message was that resistance against the Mongol Empire would be met with overwhelming force and brutal retribution. The fear of suffering a similar fate discouraged other cities from resisting Mongol rule, making future conquests easier for him. The siege of Beijing served as an important moment in his rule to expand his empire. The event became another symbol of his determination and the lengths to which he was willing to go to secure his empire and maintain control and stability over his vast territories for many more years. It was therefore safe to say that the fear of Genghis Khan was the beginning of wisdom. The use of spies and intelligence. Genghis Khan's remarkable success as a conqueror was not just a result of his military might. His strategic use of spies and intelligence was equally crucial. This clever use of information-gathering techniques allowed him to outnumber his enemies and execute his campaigns with incredible precision, making him one of history's most formidable leaders. An important part of the warlord's strategy was the establishment of an extensive range of spies. These spies, often referred to as scouts or intelligence agents, were deployed across the regions he intended to conquer. They were tasked with gathering vital information about enemy forces, city defenses, and local conditions. This intelligence was invaluable in planning his attacks, helping him avoid potential traps and take advantage of his enemies' weaknesses. He understood the importance of knowing his enemies inside and out. His spies collected detailed reports on everything from the number of soldiers stationed in a city to the types of defenses in place. This allowed him to design his battle plans in a way that maximized the Mongol army's strengths while exploiting the enemy's vulnerabilities. Before launching an attack, Genghis Khan would often send his spies to conduct thorough reconnaissance. They would gather intelligence on the enemy's fortifications, supply lines, and any other critical details that could influence the outcome of the battle. With this knowledge, he was able to devise tactics that were specifically tailored to overcome even the most formidable defenses. By understanding the layout of a city, the habits of its defenders, and the overall terrain, the Mongol army could strike with precision, often catching the enemy off guard and unprepared. In addition to gathering intelligence, Genghis Khan's spies played a crucial role in spreading misinformation and creating confusion among his enemies. By planting false reports and rumors, he could sow seeds of panic and mistrust within enemy ranks. This often led to mistakes, disorganization, and a weakened ability to resist Mongol attacks. His enemies frequently found themselves reacting to threats that didn't exist, leaving them vulnerable to the real attacks when they came. A very good example of Genghis Khan's effective use of intelligence occurred during the overtaking of the Western Jia dynasty. Before launching his attack, the Mongols sent spies to gather detailed information about the Western Xia's military capabilities, defensive structures, and overall readiness. This intelligence was critical in shaping the Mongols' siege tactics and contributed to the successful capture of key cities within the Western Xia territory. The information provided by the spies he recruited enabled him to strike with precision and force. Overwhelming the defenses that might have otherwise held strong. His intelligence network was not just limited to undercover operations alone. It also included diplomatic relations. He often sent envoys under the guise of tact to negotiate with potential adversaries or allies. These diplomatic missions served a double purpose. On the surface, they appeared to be peaceful attempts at negotiation, but in reality, they provided valuable understanding of the political and social dynamics of the enemy states. This knowledge further increased his ability to plan his campaigns, as he could anticipate the reactions of other rulers and exploit any internal divisions or weaknesses. The effectiveness of his use of spies and intelligence became a defining feature of his military campaigns. His ability to gather, analyze, and utilize information gave him a significant advantage over his enemies. It allowed him to conduct well-planned and highly effective attacks, contributing to his success in building and maintaining one of the largest empires in history. By mastering the art of intelligence and espionage, he was able to demonstrate that knowledge could be as much a powerful weapon as physical force in warfare. His distinct way of gathering and using information set a new standard for military strategy, showing that careful planning and the right intelligence could tip the scales in favor of victory. Impact on trade and cultural exchange. Khan is often remembered for his fierce military campaigns, but his influence reached far beyond the battlefield. His empire, which stretched across Asia and parts of Europe, had a lasting impact on trade and cultural exchange, transforming the regions under his control. This is one of the positive things that his reign brought about. One of his most significant contributions was his promotion of trade across the vast territories he conquered. The Silk Road, a vital trade route connecting China with the Middle East and Europe, benefited greatly from Mongol rule. Genghis Khan ensured that this pathway was secure, making it safer for merchants to travel and conduct business. As a result, economic activity thrived, and different cultures began to interact more frequently. The Mongols under his authority established a system to protect and encourage trade. They created laws that safeguarded traders and their goods, and built infrastructure such as roads, bridges, and rest stops to support long-distance travel. These measures made the Silk Road one of the most important trade routes in history, ensuring the movement of goods and people across continents. The security provided by the Mongol Empire allowed for the exchange of not just goods, but also ideas and technologies between different civilizations. Chinese inventions like gunpowder and printing spread westward, while luxury items like silk and spices flowed from the east to Europe. This exchange had a profound effect on the development of societies across the world, as they were exposed to new products, ideas, and innovations. Genghis Khan's rule also encouraged cultural exchange on a larger scale. The Mongol Empire was a diverse realm where different cultures, languages, and religions coexisted. The Mongols were known for their relatively tolerant and laid-back approach to different beliefs and customs, allowing scholars, artists, and religious leaders from various backgrounds to travel freely within the empire and share their knowledge. One of the most remarkable examples of this cultural exchange was the movement of scholars and artisans along the Silk Road. These individuals brought with them new technologies, artistic styles, and scientific knowledge, which helped stimulate cultural and intellectual growth in regions that had previously been isolated from one another. The Mongols also established a network of relay stations, known as the Yam system, which allowed for quick communication across their vast empire. This network was crucial for maintaining maximum control over the large territories they ruled, but it also played a key role in the spread of information and ideas between distant regions. The Yam system enabled messages to travel swiftly, which was important for the administration of the empire, but it also facilitated the exchange of knowledge and cultural practices. Although he is often associated with conquest and war, his empire had a significant impact on trade and cultural exchange. By securing trade routes and fostering interactions between diverse cultures, his rule helped create a more connected world among several kingdoms. His policies in promoting trade and cultural exchange can still be seen today, as the regions he once controlled became more prosperous and culturally rich due to the interactions that occurred during his reign. The Mongol legal system and governance. One can say that Genghis Khan's achievements were not just limited to his incredible military successes or the establishment of vast trade networks across Asia and Europe. One of his most significant, yet often less celebrated accomplishments was the creation of a comprehensive legal and administrative system. This system was vital for managing the enormous and culturally diverse empire he built, ensuring that it functioned smoothly and remained stable over time. One of his most wonderful contributions to governance was the introduction of the Yasa, a comprehensive code of laws. Unlike modern legal systems, the Yasa was not compiled into a single, written document. Instead, it was a set of rules and decrees issued by Genghis Khan and his successors. These laws were designed to regulate a wide range of matters, from military conduct to personal behavior. The Yasa addressed issues such as theft, execution of people, and inappropriate sexual practices, setting clear guidelines for acceptable conduct within the empire. A central principle of the Yasa was its emphasis on loyalty and obedience. The laws were strict, and anyone who disobeyed or violated the rules was punished. This strictness was not just a way to maintain order in the empire, but also a method to ensure unity across the large and diverse regions under Mongol control. Harsh penalties served as a powerful hindrance, preventing potential unrest and disobedience. The effectiveness of these laws in maintaining control was a main factor in the stability of his empire. In addition to the strict enforcement, the Mongol legal system was known for its merit-based practices. He chose officials and military commanders based on their skills and abilities, rather than their social status or family background. This can be said to be a noble act, worthy of emulation. This was a revolutionary approach at the time, as most societies placed significant importance on noble lineage and social class. By promoting individuals based on merit, he made sure that the most capable people were in positions of power, which contributed to the efficiency and loyalty of his administration. Khan also implemented several important administrative reforms to better manage his vast empire. He divided the empire into various administrative units, each governed by officials he appointed. These officials had several responsibilities, including enforcing the laws, collecting taxes, and ensuring that the local populations adhered to the empire's regulations. This system allowed him to maintain tight control over his expansive territories, ensuring that his directives were followed consistently throughout the empire. Communication played a critical role in his governance strategy. He established the Yam postal system, a network of relay stations that allowed for the rapid transmission of information and orders across the empire. This system was crucial for managing such a large and diverse territory, as it enabled Genghis Khan and his successors to quickly respond to events, coordinate military campaigns, and maintain order across vast distances. The efficiency of this communication network was a key factor in the Mongol Empire's ability to govern effectively. The legal and administrative systems that he introduced were much more than mere tools of control. They were the foundation of a well-organized and efficient state. His approach to governance, which combined strict law enforcement, a focus on merit, and effective communication, created a robust structure that allowed the empire to function smoothly, despite its size and diversity. These systems also had a lasting impact on the regions under Mongol rule, influencing the administrative practices of future rulers in those areas. His innovative methods of governance made sure that his empire was not only a formidable military power, but also a well-structured and functional state. His legal and administrative reforms allowed him to manage his widespread territories effectively, ensuring that the empire remained strong and unified long after his death. The legacy of Genghis Khan's governance. The formidable conqueror's impact extended well beyond his military victories and continued to shape the world long after his death. His approach to governance, his legal innovations, and the administrative changes he made left a deep footprint and a lasting legacy. This legacy not only influenced the Mongol Empire, but also had a profound effect on the regions it controlled and on succeeding rulers and civilizations. Beyond the organizational structure, his legacy is also seen in the way he influenced the administrative systems of the regions that came under Mongol control. The administrative practices that he implemented were often adopted and adapted by the local rulers and continued to influence these regions long after the Mongol Empire itself had faded. For example, in China, Persia, and Russia, the methods of governance and the state structures were shaped by the Mongol model. These influences can still be seen in the way these countries developed their governments and legal systems in the centuries that followed. Genghis Khan's influence also reached into the welfare and social aspects of life within the empire. He promoted trade and the movement of people and goods across the empire, which led to a significant exchange of ideas, cultures, and technologies between East and West. This period of peace and stability, known as the Pax Mongolica, or Mongol Peace, created the conditions for the flourishing of trade routes and also the Silk Road. Under his leadership, the Mongol Empire became a vast network that connected different civilizations, allowing for unprecedented levels of cultural and economic exchange. This exchange brought new ideas, innovations, and goods across continents, deeply influencing the development of societies far beyond the borders of the Mongol Empire. In the regions once under Mongol control, the legacy of his governance is still evident in various ways. His methods of administration and governance were incorporated into local practices, shaping the evolution of government structures and legal codes in those areas. The Mongol influence is particularly notable in the way these regions handled issues of law, administration, and governance, contributing to the development of state structures that persisted for centuries. His legacy is also deeply rooted in the cultural identity and historical memory of the Mongol people. In Mongolia, Genghis Khan is revered as the founding father of the Mongol nation and a national hero, and his name continues to spread far and wide. His achievements in unifying the Mongol tribes and creating a powerful and influential empire are celebrated with great pride. The image of this revered warrior as a visionary leader who brought together a diverse group of people to create a strong and united state is an essential part of Mongolian identity and heritage. His governance was about much more than just building an empire through military might. His innovative approach to managing a vast and diverse empire set a new standard for leadership and governance. The The systems he put in place were designed to ensure that his empire would be well managed and sustainable over the long term. His influence on administration, law, and cultural exchange left a mark on history that can still be seen and felt till now. Furthermore, Genghis Khan's empire left a deep mark on the political landscape of Eurasia. When the Mongol Empire broke into several khanates, like the Yuan dynasty in China, the Golden Horde in Russia, and the Ilkhanate in Persia, it led to the rise of new political regions. These khanates continued to use elements of Mongol governance and culture, influencing the development of their areas. The Mongol Empire also had a big impact on military strategy and tactics. His methods were studied and adopted by many military leaders and empires, showing how his strategies remained important. In science and technology, the Mongol Empire also helped to spread knowledge. The exchange of ideas and technologies under Mongol rule led to advancements in several other fields. For instance, Chinese technologies like gunpowder and papermaking were introduced to the Middle East and Europe and have significantly affected their development. In conclusion, it can be said that Khan's leadership and the Mongol Empire's impact stretched far beyond its time. The empire's influence on politics, military strategy, science, and culture continued to shape history even after it fell. His story is passed down through generations, symbolizing strength, unity, and the ability to achieve greatness. This shows the lasting and significant impact of Genghis Khan's achievements. And while Genghis Khan is only remembered for being a ruthless leader, we can see that he also positively impacted the world. He died in August 1227, but the cause of his death is still unclear. Some say he fell from his horse, others think he was ill, and some even suggest he was assassinated. He died while leading a campaign against the Western Xia dynasty in China. The location of his burial is also unknown. Mongol tradition says his body was brought back to the steppes and buried in a secret place. The exact site has never been found because the area was destroyed to keep it hidden. Despite many legends and theories, no one knows where Genghis Khan is buried. Thank you for watching to the end. See you next time.